anything in game that says accuracy and recoil increase during sustained fire, or you have things that help with initial firing recoil. Those are super important to take note of. You might just think it's recoil, it all works the same. I can have an underbarrel that helps with recoil, I can have a stock that helps with initial firing recoil, I could have a rear grip that helps with sustained fire recoil. Turns out that's not the case, and I imagine this is not intended. It very well could be, but it'd be weird. But for instance, if I were to use the custom stock here on the AS44, which, like I said, helps with recoil during sustained fire, and I were to also use something like polymer, then I would have no issues, because that, for instance, is the same recoil properties stacking on top of each other: recoil during sustained fire and recoil during sustained fire. Now, if brace were a perk here that has initial firing recoil, I wouldn't be able to run that because it actually make the recoil changes obsolete. And I'll explain exactly how that works. Again, we can see that on sim. So we'll actually look at the Cooper here because it offers brace as a perk, which is a great example. Brace, as we know, helps with the initial firing control. If I were to scroll down a little bit here, you guys can see initial gun kick is better, and initial gun kick here on the stats is better. You can see the kick is not as much. Now, we'll erase that momentarily. Let's look at a stock here really quick. The 45 RS. It, for instance, helps out with initial firing recoil. As we can see, initial gun kick is better. So we'll throw on that, we'll throw on a brace together. You can see the initial gun kick here becomes significantly better. However, let's say we want good initial firing recoil, but we also want to have the polymer grip on here, which, as we know, helps with recoil during sustained fire. If I were to do that, suddenly there's no benefit. You can see sustained gun kick does not change at all. What happens if I were to delete brace though? Initial firing kick. You can see it actually gets worse for some reason, and there's no initial firing kick happening from the 45 RS stock. If I were to remove that, suddenly we have better sustained fire recoil and we have no initial gun kick. So you can have these different attachments that have sustained fire recoil, initial firing recoil, and you can stack them with each other, sustained and sustained. But if you start to mix and match initial and sustained, that's where things get a little bit tricky, because it just simply does not work.